Hey, everybody. We only get one today.
Hey,
We're not all here, so we get one hey. Right
man,
now, we're
is the
still waiting
economy that
on
bad?
Mr. Golden, Mr. Schoonhoff, to get right on back. He's currently AFK just for a minute or two, so we hope. And in the meantime, we have a little bit of time to talk to each other and, just chill out.
I don't know, man. That sounds kind of gay.
You sound kind of gay, you gay.
Damn right.
Now,
Hey man, thanks for that link to www.roll20.net.
Yes.
I never would have been able to find it without your help.
speaking of, how is all has Foundry introduced settings in place to prevent, like, player permissions to stop Gavin from just, like, exploding your server when he explodes a dice?
No idea.
I wasn't asking you.
Well, I'm playing on Foundry 2.
Yeah.
You just asked a general question without specifying, though.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's 3 of us in here that are playing on Foundry, aside from you.
Mhm.
Yeah, but how many of you guys are playing on Foundry with a person named Gavin?
You don't know my life.
I know a Gavin, so I
Reject Foundry, embrace in real life sessions.
In
Yeah, but if we're
today's
playing
climate?
Honestly,
Okay,
if everybody's
Chad?
moving together, it's honestly might be possible.
Chad, there's one downside to in-person sessions, and that is that it's way weirder to get art for your characters if you can just play in person.
I mean, yes,
Yes,
but
but
also
I can't really get into it unless I'm kissing you.
I mean, I say
is that a
just do the
promise?
best of both worlds and just have, like, one of those sick-ass tables that are also a screen.
yeah.
Oh, and then you
I
can
would
get
like
all
that.
the
Have
fun
virtual
fact.
tabletop
Doesn't only
and all
cost about
the homie
$250.
kissing.
Oh, sick.
I have looked into them, and Gavin will make one for you for significantly less than $250 if you give him the raw materials.
Pretty based,
Does this
honestly.
include coconut?
I'm sure the coconuts is the significantly less payment. I give him the coconuts, so he has all of them.
Oh
And
no.
then
You make a-
he has all the coconuts still there.
You make a great point. This analogy doesn't make any sense. I wake up before you, and then I wake you up, and I tell you you have to gather coconuts for me, so I can give you some of the coconuts.
Dude, somebody.
Walter, what are you gonna do with the coconuts after you give them to Gavin?
I'm gonna make a coconut gun, have it fire in spurts, and it's probably gonna hurt.
I
Wait.
get it. Dude, at some point, someone like in this group, like, or someone that is interacting with this group with no knowledge is going to mention coconut somehow, or we're going to be Pavloved into like, stop him! He must be stopped right now. Like, we're just gonna all dunk on him, and he's gonna be like, "What did I do?"
It's our like imposter word.
Yeah, true.
You did say it earlier.
Mogus. Hey Evan, remember Mogus?
I do remember.
Amogus.
It's my boy, Mogus.
So,
Hey, Mogus.
Darius,
And
do
he
you
is
want to
literally
tell
the
us
god
about
of
your,
slaughter.
your Heroes of the Storm training arc?
What?
Your
imagine
status
having-
is my hot training art, and so I had a 50-50 shot of which game by just saying that.
I mean, you were
Well-
right.
You know, it's either StarCraft or a MOBA.
A MOBA?
Amobus.
Listen, it was the worst. It was so bad that for a solid like 3 years of my life, HOTS meant 2 different games that in both of them I played.
Yeah, Heroes of the Storm.
Yo,
I'm not good enough to play StarCraft.
That's a lie. I'm good enough to get to platinum, which means everyone's good enough to play StarCraft.
Yeah, well, too bad. I'm Masters and HOTS, and I want to be better.
I
Don't
wanna
we all?
be the very best.
Well, here's the question: which race in StarCraft do you play?
I mean,
Oh,
when I do play,
I'm main
when I do
Zerg.
play, I play the attack move race, and you know which one that is.
He is. Yeah,
Toro,
it seems like
top it
most
off.
of us do. I know Evan did for the few games he played, and I know I
must
do.
use-
I have no
Additional
idea
pilot.
what that means. Actually,
You must construct additional
Protoss.
pilots.
I'm assuming that's
You must-
Protoss, but I have no.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
idea.
is
yeah.
Protoss.
Okay, cool.
No.
That's the correct option.
Because literally
All I'm
all you
saying
do
is-
on Protoss that game is you just have such an advantage that you just like tell everybody to go there, and then you can kind of just AFK.
You deathball, which is hilarious because in StarCraft 1, Protoss was the exact opposite of a death ball, and I just love.
Wasteland.
Dynamics.
Honestly, though, if you're not playing Protoss, then you are in fact gay and you smell bad.
Oh,
Dude,
here's the
Protoss
joke
is
on you.
cool.
I'm actually a random main, so
You terrify me.
Honestly, fantastic. A man of culture.
You
I
I'm
wish I
platinum
terrify me.
in all 3 races. That's not a joke.
I
fear
wish
no
my
thing, but
coconuts were as big
but
as
that
yours.
thing, it scares me. I fear no man. There we go.
The moment I start
So,
a losing streak on one race, I switch
Oh,
races because.
you haven't met Gordon yet. He's the racist one.
Whoa. Are you impugning my honor by implying Golden's more racist than me? I've just been quiet about it.
To be fair, we're all gamers, so.
yeah, true.
Wait.
God. Where the
I
fuck
may
is
be
Golden?
black, but when I say a slur, it's not the one you're thinking of.
So, where the fuck is Golden?
something TOS.
That was a joke, Twitch.
The law requires that I claim that was a joke.
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for.
I sure did know hate well until he died in that slur accident and that TOS accident.
So, while Golden is off having a heart attack, can we maybe get into a little bit of the RP?
I'm telling you.
You know what? I have no problems with that. Everybody ready to get into it?
You have to work.
Sure.
All right. The party has just recently departed the underground facility, having found Rifter's dear mother lying unconscious in the fountain. He retrieves her as Vermilion? Question mark.
Yes.
Okay. And begins carrying her while the rest of the party moves their individuals down through the streets into the inner district. It is currently about 2 to 3 hours after midnight. There's a gentle clanging in the center of the square as the party moves through towards their merchants guild area.
God, this has been a long night. We'll have more to discuss in the morning, but for now, let's take care of what we have to, and then finally get some goddamn sleep. Alright?
We're going to have even more to do in the morning. And probably for the next few days.
Also, hey, can I ask that you not sell the circlet for a few days at least? We might have to, apologies. I intend to contact Perilyn as soon as I can, considering that we finished our mission. So, he will likely want to at least see that.
Besides, it's good to have for security.
She looks at it, looks up at it, eyes, because she's clearly still wearing it. And sighs.
We can help cover the cost of those spell components some other way.
I
think
understand. Although, this is just as much Rifter's choice as mine. The ledger has entries from both of us.
Well, Vermilion?
Yeah, I said Vermilion because I'm not a dummy.
No, I was just saying, ask him. Do you have
Vermilion doesn't
anything?
say anything. He just holds his mom and he just quietly nods. He just goes along with it.
Wow, it's incredible that suddenly, for no reason, you now relinquish control over your loot.
We can discuss this in the morning. We are all incredibly tired. That was a trying ordeal. For now, though, let's just get this done, get some sleep, and approach this with clear heads. Alright?
Completely unrelated. I'm just making plans a couple of months out from now. Are there any drugs that make it through your protections?
Well, I don't exactly know if it counts, but shock stop seems to work. Why do you ask?
I think we all would greatly benefit from a day night, really, we don't have the time to spend more than that. A night where we're not in our own heads. It seems everything we do just builds up more stress.
That sounds about right. Again, we can discuss this more when we can take proper inventory of our situation and figure out what has to be done from here.
There's a sound of shuffling stones clanging against each other coming from the core ward.
Well, let's see what's going on out there before we do anything else.
Eyes up, smiles on.
Aye.
You know, we even have an excuse for unconscious people with us. They were harmed by the... And Hate just kind of stops and just starts walking.
Sure, Hate, you have a reason for everything.
Darius, please, we can... I understand where you're coming from, but this is not going to be productive right now.
He
Please.
just rolls his eyes and looks ahead. His face completely shifted to a more normal face that one might see from him.
In front of you, the area is completely clear as it would be. There's a few bits of flame scar upon the stone and on a bit of the wooden facades of the structures, but all in all, it has been fairly well maintained. One part, far to your east, is currently being worked on by some sort of mage who is moving through and properly arranging the stones and smoothing out the face of a large column that, not column, a large patio almost that raises a good 30 feet up into the air amongst a tower.
Oh, so that's what that is.
There is not much light in your area, but there's a gentle torchlight near where they are.
Darius, where should myself, Hayden, and Srenhoff go to find the church to drop our precious cargo off?
Let's see. If you leave the upper district, you should head east down the road, and then he continues on giving the general directions to the church, from what he can recall.
Thank
Understandable.
you. We will meet back up with you at the shop. And hopefully get some rest. And Lork proceeds to head off to the church, presumably with Ardriel slung over his shoulder, fireman style.
Right.
And Darius heads back to the shop, presumably
You
with
are
everyone
at
that
you are
someone.
at the stairs of the church. For some of you, it seems to be, it is a church, but in particular for Lorik, it's kind of weird. You've never been to Korheim, and you did not expect that in a city that felt so lawless for the, presence of the church to kind of be so ominous and so present. As the stairs reach forward a good 40 feet, and just stairs after stairs moving forward in a honestly confusing reason. As the magni- as the magnificence of its actual facade and its front just towers over into the sky in the darkened night.
Hey, do you know who this church is dedicated to?
Do I? I haven't actually been to this city before.
I would not say you
There.
would. It's a little bit dark. If you moved a bit closer, you could probably easily find out.
Hate will take the extra steps forward to see if she can make it out.
Go ahead and go for it.
Click
Religion.
on the button.
Chances
Fun
are good.
fact, my religion roll is not actually nearly as high as you would think.
It doesn't matter. It's good enough. It's definitely not desecrated. Dedicated to the 7.
She, after taking a couple of steps forward, she stops and says, "It's a place of worship for the 7."
So a general church not dedicated to any one god, then.
That tends to be the case with the larger ones.
Well, you would likely know better than I.
It's more of a pooling of multiple pools of worship tends to allow for more resources.
What does the party do with their bodies they have hewn over them?
Lork is gonna try and knock on the door to get the attention of anyone that might still be in there, like, I don't know, clergy that live in there.
And then just wait.
Yeah, maybe a few minutes.
You're currently waiting.
Schoenhoff, Hate, do you have any idea of the protocol for this sort of situation?
Not a clue.
Do you want my flippant answer or the actual thing that is likely to work the best?
Both, perhaps?
If you knock again, I can back you up with a little bit of thaumaturgy. It'll properly scare them that it's a member. It's somebody with connections to the icons. But the actual protocol is to remember that most of the people here are probably asleep or out healing people and dealing with the city.
At this point, most of the city, actually, looking over almost the entirety of the city has been quelled.
Fair. So my statement would have been healing people.
Yeah.
So, we can't just leave these people on the steps like infants at someone's doorstep, though.
Out of curiosity, Lork said he knocked. Hate's gonna try the door. Is it locked?
The door gently creaks open.
You're officially being brought in here by a... She stops and, actually tries to think back to her credentials. Okay, so my father never really graduated me, but technically I am almost ordained in a couple of faiths. So
A scholar of the divine, then, let's call it.
I'll take whatever social hit this is, and I'm probably going to get yelled at when I'm trying to sleep. But you shouldn't worry. And Hate opens the door fully and starts just walking in.
Stepping inside, the large pathways leading forward with the multiple pews on either side in a very traditional, albeit large church that it is. There exists a great deal of darkness on either side as a gentle bit of moonlight shines through the glass onto the central pathway.
So yeah, Hate's going to use her generalized knowledge of churches and just not even worry about the main place of worship and try to find the back rooms.
Fantastic choice. You quickly find off on the side a small area where there is an abbey section, such that there are a few sickly who are currently there, sleeping.
Should we leave a note with them?
I feel as though this is one of the few times where using up my paper is worth it.
Don't worry, I can try to replace the good paper at some point.
No, this is an asset that was supposed to be used either for my studies or for my journey, and so it's being used. And Hate pulls out another sheet of paper, very upset with her dwindling supply. Her dwindling supply of not written on paper because she has a scroll case full of paper with notes.
Mhm.
So do we give them the names of these people and where they can find us to contact us for more information?
Yeah, that sounds good. The most likely thing, just synthesizing knowledge from my travels, would be if they can't figure out who these people really are, or if they wake up and they don't seem to fully remember who they are, is that they'll just be slowly folded into the clergy, if there's room. So, giving them a bit of information would help. Or at least just contact info.
Especially with our Highstone friend here.
That would be an interesting outcome. And probably not the best for the clergy.
Alright, let's be done here and get back with the others. I hope Richter and Darius are doing alright. Lork would have said Vermilion, by the way.
Of course.
Yeah. You did mention that we're in a room full of, like, vaguely sickly people.
Mm-hmm.
I'll drop my last mass cure light wounds.
All right. Question: how do you go about doing that? Can you press that button real quick?
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So it does have verbal components.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get around casting it loudly, seeing as your particular profession? Anything creative, or are you okay with it?
Oh, I was absolutely willing to just speak at regular, like, room, well, clear enunciation.
Oh, okay.
Because Hate already said she's willing to take the fall for showing up into this church.
Right. I was
Might as
meaning
well
more
do
so the
something.
idea that, like, you yell.
Yeah, Hate yells, but, like, that's more of the initial, hey, give me the contract. She can be a
Gotcha.
bit
Okay.
quieter.
Thought it could be an interesting moment, but it's okay. Yeah, we're good. And with that, the party begins to make their way back towards Darius's shop. In the beforehand, Darius, you and Vermilion, along with Vermilion's mother, reach the shop.
Do you have any idea how this is?
No,
All right.
and I'm not sure I want to. I go ahead and I bring my mom in. I look at Darius to see like I'm basically holding her up like, hey, where do I put her?
Bring her to the back. Come on.
I go ahead and I follow him.
We might wake up Jake, but he can deal with it. This is a little important. Move ourselves into the back rooms, TM.
The back rooms, TM. Alright, let me give everybody the schmoovins. You can go ahead and talk about it for a moment. Roll20's being dumb.
So,
oh, good.
No, you go ahead. I was just gonna seen it, but go ahead.
Rifter goes ahead and he puts down his mom. He puts his hand on the top of her head. And his hand turns into a bit of a claw for a second. Like you can see a lot of strain and a lot of force behind his hands. It's almost a 50-50 whether or not he's very sad and intense because he has his mom back, or whether he's planning on doing some sort of bodily harm to her. You're not 100% sure.
Ooh, fancy.
And if that is your mother, your true mother,
It can't be. What is dead should stay dead.
is what is taken too soon? Should that stay dead too?
I'm not talking about this right now. Listen, there's too many questions.
I agree. There are too many questions. And I urge you only not to act rashly. You can make whatever decision you want to. Just don't be rash.
He nods.
I'm not going to try and have authority over your own mother.
I'll wait until morning. He moves back from her and he just takes a small seat, like not in an actual seat if there isn't one, but just, off to the side, just kind of staring at her.
On the ground, off to the ground, off to the side.
Yeah.
There are a few.
Darius is actually going to go actively wake up Jake.
Alright, sounds good. You move over and he rolls over and hey.
Hey, long story short, we found the Scion, and there's some interesting fallout that I think you should see.
Alright, I'll be out in a minute. And he starts getting out. Putting on
Darius
his
leaves the
glasses, lighting a small candle with a pinch of his fingers.
Once Jake's all ready, he leads him out and shows him to Rifter's mom on the grounds. This
Gotcha.
woman has been dead for, and he looks at Rifter,
At least a decade.
and now she's here.
He looks at Rifter for a moment. Do you know how she died?
I was there. I saw it. He doesn't elaborate any further. That's all he's willing to say.
If I am to judge further, without prying, then God, I'm tired. If she would have anything that would be significant to her death, like any wounds, are they present?
I pull open her head, pull open her head. I pull back her hair.
Mhm.
The specific way
feathers
she
are
died
folded.
was a sword to the face. So, yeah, there should be a massive scar if that's the case.
There is none.
In that case, Rifter just kind of acknowledges that, oh, hey, that's not there. That should be there, probably. And he just nods.
Perhaps.
Alright, I'm just refreshing Roll20 because it's being a stupid butt.
Uh-oh.
Do you have a backrooms tab that's not working?
I do.
Okay.
And
let
I
me
switched
refresh
to
that.
something else to try to get it to be working, and it was not working either, so I think
Oh,
just
no
refreshing.
shot. It swapped to Hectorum Town when I refreshed it.
Oopsie!
That's deeply unfortunate.
Oh, no backrooms havers.
Alright, looks like we have backrooms havers now.
Backrooms havers?
Did
Pause.
Darius lock the front door behind them?
He did.
Okay.
There we go.
Lork never did officially release hate from being his scribe.
He did not.
Sounds very tactical.
It just occurred to me. I still have a official position given by an actual important person.
Listen, it's just one step closer to royalty.
Uh-oh.
Fantastic. Alright. The party is at where the party is at. At least for Darius and Rifter. there's always the chance that as wounds are healed quickly through the forms of magic, that it is to grow back limb and body, but it is of rare precedent.
Jake, she didn't arrive here by any physical means. I want to tell you, and I trust you, but I'm afraid that the knowledge could put you in harm's way.
Thank
He
you,
doesn't
Dara.
need to be involved.
I will not force myself where I am not needed, but I trust you as always, Darius, and will follow your choice.
Do you know how she might have come to be here?
I'm not much of a physician, but and moves on forward and just starts looking and poking around at her and rolling her over. He has enough regard not to throw off alarm bells, but perhaps not as much as one would like in the event that she is real.
If at any point he acts like a bit too harsh for Rifter's liking, which is probably with the delicacy of like, you know, a ship in a bottle, he like slightly moves to like interject or whatever, but then like stops himself.
Yeah, Darius will look at him at any point that he moves forward. Like, look at Rifter.
I would say
Yeah.
that these events transpire.
He's just pacing back and forth like very anxiously, like, you know, if he had nails, I don't think he has nails, but if he did, he would be biting them.
He's biting his bitty talons.
If he had
He's
teeth to
biting
bite
his
his
nails.
metaphorical nails, he would like them.
That's the one. Let me actually do my yield roll. Alright. He ends up giving you a pretty conclusive answer that as far as he knows, like, there doesn't seem to be anything wrong with her. Like, there's no wounds, there's no burns, there's none of the, like, hallmarks of reanimation. Especially not if it was recent. And that she just seems fine.
Then she is not her. But even if it's not her, she still has a right, you know, to move on.
Perhaps.
There's a dung dung dung. Well, wait. I don't remember the answer. Darius, did you lock it on your way in?
Yes.
Okay, there's a dung 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 at the front door.
I'll go grab it. As he does a light jog to the front door and opens it.
The party has arrived.
He sort of, like, without saying anything, nods his head back behind him and, like, opens the door.
Thank you, Darius.
I'm not going to let you just freeze out there on the streets.
That is
Well, maybe you, Lorik, but... And then
Well,
he
you
closes
wouldn't
and
have to
locks.
worry about me.
Exactly. We're back here. Just try and stay quiet.
I will. I intend to get some sleep immediately.
Makes his way to the back.
I assume most people do.
Mm-hmm.
Lork is probably going to doff his armor up front so that he's not making noise back there. And then take it to the back with him when he goes to actually sleep.
Naked Lorik.
I mean, he is wearing clothes under the armor.
Sure.
Smelly Lork.
Don't even take that road, JC.
He's wearing clothes under armor. Do you have any idea how uncomfortable that must be?
About Standard?
Yeah. Sounds about
Who
right.
could have seen this coming?
The answer
That
is
man has
more.
Gambit
The answer
under
is
his
less
plate.
than the alternative.
I don't think you understand how encumbered he is. He's wearing Gambison underneath his mail.
And under that Gambison is chain.
For Phil, like, help inform me as an uninformed Gambison.
What was often mistaken for studded leather.
I see. Okay.
Dude, did you
Effective-
know armor is uncomfortable?
Of course, of course.
Effectively, a very quick shorthand for all of the D&D armor is that in real life, they were wearing all of them sequentially, just at different
Pretty
amounts of
much.
thickness. Like
I
if you
see.
had plate, you had all the rest underneath.
All right.
Isn't
Oh,
full
geez.
plate like 80 pounds?
And
Something like that.
it's supposedly, when properly made, the whole outfit weighs like twice as much as modern battle dress. But modern battle dress weighs less because we have guns and ammo.
And
So
yeah,
we-
ballistics and ballistic.
Are you implying that flak armor is in fact less heavy than full-on fucking plate?
For me, I guess the disconnect was just that when he said normal clothes, I instantly imagined Lorik in a suit, even though those are absolutely not normal clothes.
Bigness Lorik.
Could you
No, I'm talking like
imagine?
the second outfit on the reference sheet.
All right, hold
Bullet
on.
floor.
All right, reset. The
Yeah.
party steps through Bar Lorik, who is currently doffing in the front rooms.
I'm doing what in the front room?
Doffing.
Donnie and
Dolphins
Dolphin.
low.
I'm sorry, shitty joke.
Yeah. That's the kind of joke that goes in the text chat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry.
The party enters into the back rooms. Struenhoff and Haight step through and see as Jake is somewhat handling Rifter's mother, moving her around, checking her, making sure that everything is normal, and he continues to verify his statements to Darius.
And you're sure there's nothing magical about anything about her appearance?
He kind of lifts up her arm a bit, like ruffles some of the feathers. There's no tales of it, at least.
Sort of looks over. He looks at Hate for a second, is about to say something, and then turns away. And then turns back to Jake. Do you have any idea when she might wake up?
How long ago did she pass out?
We found her like this.
Your guess is as good as mine. Oh.
Mood?
Same, honestly.
I think it would be best for all of us.
That
We
man
have the
yawned.
bedroll
We all
that
yawned.
we agreed on, and I'm sorry to say that I have few more.
Well, I'm more than accustomed to sleeping on hard surfaces. Others can take this. Lorik already has my bed.
Rifter offers his bedroll to Darius.
I sincerely do not need it.
He shrugs and then puts it away.
So I think that's our
Oh,
cue to rest, right?
I mean, first of all, is Struenhoff here?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Hey, he lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lie.
That can be the party's cue to rest, if they so desire, with no more objections.
Alright, let's hopefully get some sleep, everyone.
Is
As
this where we
Jake
play
heads to
the
sleep.
in music?
We should, though, take a couple turns making sure that she doesn't wake up in the middle of the night with no idea what's going on.
I'll watch.
Grace
Thanks
nods.
so much, then. Vermilion, wake me up a couple hours into it. I will take over.
I do believe he's Rifter right now.
He is Rifter right now, but
Okay.
it was smart of you to do so. To say
Alright,
that.
so if he's rifted, do you still say Vermilion?
Probably at this point, considering his habit of saying Vermilion in relatively public spaces.
Alright.
He just nods. It's all the same.
JC will remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Peculiar.
That's all the
You
same to
say
him.
Vermilion despite looking at the wanted criminal rifter. Interesting.
I am quite intelligent. But yeah, if unless my character like just passes out from exhaustion, he will stay up the entire night basically just watching her.
Would you roll me 2d6?
Sure. By the way, if he does sense that it's like, okay, I really just can't continue, he will get Lork, but he
Right.
does intend to stay up.
You stay awake through the entire night and gain the benefits of a short rest.
Coolio.
For everyone else, you have long rested.
Okay, let me just reset everything quick.
Thank goodness I long rested and got back everything I didn't use.
Hey, same.
Beep boop. Full health.
E.
Give me a second. I gotta do some math.
Math! I can't do math.
The best thing.
Vermilion, you were supposed to get me up. What time even is it?
It matters not. It is my responsibility.
We really are a party full of obstinate people.
Apparently.
Oh yeah, Rifter was almost completely fucking dead.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was on 20 HP and am now at full.
He was technically like 3 HP away from instant death.
I have 4 hit die left. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Okay, I have 3 hit die left. Unlucky.
Well, this isn't exactly an ideal turn of events since you didn't wake me up to help share the responsibility, but
It is only mine to burden.
fine. But I think that at least most of us have clearer heads now.
I hope so.
Okay. So, first thing on the agenda. The events of last night.
Joy, I get to explain as to why I was robbed of my rights, and I get to have everyone disagree with me.
Darius, please just let me say a couple things first. My insistence that you not go through with that was not on a moral ground. It was on the grounds that we didn't know what would happen. Our best guess was that that was a trap left behind by him.
So, So you wouldn't let me take that risk for myself. I have agency over my own safety, Lorik.
Do you have agency over all of our safeties, though?
You know full well that when Hate went in and requested something, it only affected them.
In
knew
that
Hate had no
initial
intent.
moment, I did stop it immediately. It could have spread out, taken all of our lives, and then fulfilled whatever task was sent out.
You have as much basis for that theory as I have for mine.
I know. And I know it's not perfect. But... I have to consider our safety. All of us.
Oh, then we shouldn't go into the dungeon, should we? We
That's
shouldn't chase the
entirely-
Scion, should we?
Darius, please.
You have never had a problem with our safety to this extent until I have had my chance to do what I need to do.
Because this was entirely alien powers. And
And the dungeon isn't.
the dungeon is arcane magic. It is a research expedition. It is something that we can combat.
Really. If the dungeon decided to take you to the bottom of an ocean, could you do anything? Could you combat that? Going to kill the water?
Lork remains silent a bit.
Do you see what I mean? It's just because it's me. You're justifying after the fact.
We all consent to go to the dungeon. All of us consent to go chasing the Scion. There is a small difference.
If I had it my way, I wouldn't be chasing the Scion. I wouldn't be in the dungeon. I would be pursuing what would best help me. Sure, this is consensual in the most vague, broad way of the definition.
Just for the record, I wouldn't take that argument as why I opposed your actions. Because for me it was moral, but it had very little to do with what you were specifically planning on doing.
So you care about 30 seconds of a Scion's extended prison time over the potential lives saved of exterminating the Yuan-Ti. You care more about a small period of time of that one individual more than the potential future of millions. That's your moral conundrum.
I never said it was a conundrum. I do not agree with slavery. I can make the argument if you would like, but I don't think that there's much more that I can dig into that single defining principle. When I realized that that was a person, another sentient being that you can just usurp its will and command it to do whatever you want, just because you happen to be holding an object of power. Not convince it to do what you want. Not convince them that this crown, this tiara represents divine authority, and so you should listen to us in the decrees we give down, like the tyrants that we already try to fight against. No, this was just completely usurping the will of someone for reasons we have no right to participate in.
No right. You dare try to patronize me about my rights of my people. What I have seen, what I have done.
You can try to make the argument that you yourself have the right to decide the exact actions that another being is able to do. That is fine. I am not going to say that my moral standards need to sit in the same place that yours do. But there's a reason that despite the fact that I have been gifted with the ability to usurp the minds of most of those around me, I've only ever used this spell to allow someone to reinforce their own choices.
So you won't even try and justify yourself. You just think that your moral system is better because it's yours.
Every day and every night, I spend countless hours, either vocally or in my own mind, battling with creatures that explicitly hold domain over the raw concepts of good and evil. I don't care. Our differences in our moral beliefs aren't, despite what so many people would want to tell us, objective. And so, yes, I disagreed with this action. I also happen to know, just from having been around you, that there is no way that I'm going to convince you that what I did was right. Not from your perspective. But there's also no way that you would have convinced me that what you wanted to do was right, from my perspective.
What's done is done. I just hope you can live with the fact that you've potentially ruined the lives of thousands. That there will be people butchered because you refuse to let me take action. That people's souls will be damned to an eternity of void, robbed of their afterlife, because you refuse to let me save them.
What would happen to the souls of all of the people that you wanted to genocide? It seems as though you're trying to make an argument where the calculus is the same on both sides.
Are you saying that you wouldn't kill slavers? You can't make
If
this
I
kind of
had
argument when you
to
so
make the
actively kill.
choice between condemning a slaver's soul to a void and letting them continue being slavers, that would be a question that I would genuinely have to ask.
Well,
If
that's what
I
you
had the
would do.
choice to kill, no, if I had the choice between a slave being condemned to a void or myself personally condemning another to a void, those are the same end state. So it then depends on so many other factors. Am I condemning someone to avoid because I chose to not try a different method? Am I condemning someone to avoid because I think this is expedient, a faster way to get to my end desires? All of those other parts of the equation matter. But when either end is going to be people's souls are condemned to a butchered eternity, then that's not going to change the weight of either side of the action.
Hey,
When
you're
it's one
failing
or the
to
other.
recognize. You're failing to recognize that these people are the progenitors of this. If it weren't for the Yuan-Ti, for Nidhogg, for Seth, this wouldn't be an argument we're having. If we have to condemn their souls by not freeing them, so be it. It stops them from condemning others. You would have to argue that there was some way for me to just free all of the Yuan-Ti. Just because. I'm sorry, I'm not an idealist. I'm going to take what I can get. Or rather, I can try to, if I'm not stopped by somebody I thought I trusted.
I know everyone's opinion on this, but I'm curious. Hoff, what are your thoughts?
Don't think it's something I need to get into. But I already made my stance clear at the time.
Alright, fair enough.
Alright, I think I've come up with something. It's too little, too late, but it may be of some use for all parties involved. As a measure of partial repayment for mine and Hate's roles in depriving you of the end of your quest, Darius.
Depriving me of my freedom, like a certain
Yes.
other individual.
Yes. Hate will offer you an as yet undetermined number of her most powerful divinations to aid you in the discovery of some tool to further your goals. And I will do everything in my power as the Censor Nominus. And if I climb any further than that, my future titles to aid you in your quest. It's far from a perfect solution, but it's all I can offer, because there is nothing else that can be done at this point.
I didn't want to have this argument in the first place. We decided to talk about what happened yesterday, so I gave my side. What happened happened. I need to move forward anyways, and I appreciate the offer.
When I went back, the thing that I asked was if the Scion could make Nidhogg itself its target.
Nidhogg has already been neutralized. The only other icon that's necessary that still has influence, as I recall, is Seth.
We don't necessarily know if he's neutralized. All we know is that he's occupied enough to have dropped his grasp upon me.
That's fair.
There's precious few times in which I believe that the ends justify the means. I felt as though, and you do not have to agree with me, that I would be willing to participate in the usurpation of this man's freedom in a very literal sense. If it would have the chance of aiding us in our quest of killing the icons that are causing this problem.
Hate, I don't think you understand. We can kill Seth. We can kill Nidhogg. That will not make a difference. Not to the UNT. We are bred this way. This is something not just magical.
Well, if you want to talk about breeding, this is perfect. I'm an orc. I exist to ruin all of the best made plans of people trying to better the world. If you want to talk about it from those lenses, then maybe that's it. I'm just living up to my nature.
Hate, this is different.
No, you're going to try and say that, oh, hey, look, the one shining example of somebody who can break away from all of the issues that you are trying to place at the foot of your people. You are going to make the claim that because of the way they were born, the exact same circumstances you had, that it's impossible for them to make it to where you are. So, yes, it is the same thing. I grew up with so many people giving me the exact same argument. I thought I had been cursed just because of half of my bloodline. Do you know what that was like for my cousins? For the people I grew up with who were full-blooded orcs, who felt that call that they say all the more powerfully. We still have a choice. We may always make the bad one more often than anybody would wish that we did. But would you say that I should also be out on a campaign to exterminate all of my family? Because we have the same problem. It may not be to the same magnitude, but if you wanted to really get down to it, is there any people on this godforsaken plane where on a good day, you could say most of them are a net benefit for existence? Because I don't really think that's true. But I don't think that's an excuse to genocide people. So yes, you can say that this time is different, that the magnitude changes the calculations. But I'm just saying that I don't see it, because I see you.
I am the worst possible example you could get. If my mind were not expanded, if I wasn't different from my blood, you'd all be dead.
Then you just gave me the perfect example. Your mind was expanded. You are different, and we're not dead. If you think you're the worst example, then that means that everyone else back in your homeland would be easier than you. And honestly, over the growth that you've had over the time that I've been here has been so astonishing. With such minimal effort, I feel as though it's a significantly easier task than you're letting on.
Hate, I will have plenty of discussions with you. I will argue morality through and through. But please do not make me recount to you the atrocities that I've seen and committed. Please do not make me try and convince you of what I have seen, what I have done, what it is to be UNT.
Lorik, I have a question for you.
I am not going to tell you that. That is not mine to tell.
I see that you can read my mind. Rifter, quick question. How much do you know about the history of your people?
Quite a bit, actually.
Oh, I know in recent history you've been persecuted, but I'm sure that even you have monsters.
I don't know much about his circumstances, but I can tell you that condemnation is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Rifter was outcast as a thief and as a killer, and look what it drove him to. As far as I'm concerned, as long as there's a chance, as long as you are condemning based on the actions, not on the basis of birth, that's fine. But I don't believe that birth is a sin.
I'd asked Strunhoff, but he's human. I'm sure we all know stories of horrific, monstrous humans who have done horrible things, especially from our perspectives. And she says that while looking at Rifter.
Lorik, are you looking at Darius at all?
He's occasionally stealing glances, but is...
His eyes are widening, and he is looking reminiscent to how he has panicked before when he has remembered his past.
Rifter
Lord,
tactfully tries to
trying-
change the specific line of this topic, and he mentions, I'm surprised nobody mentioned this, but morality aside, because I doubt we're going to agree on that. What about the collateral? We have no idea what that thing would have done to achieve its goal. The Celestial was but a taste of the terror that an unhinged weapon can unleash. And that thing was kicking quite a bit more power than what we saw.
Lorik is going to kind of sidle over to Darius and kind of gently put a hand on his shoulder.
He, looks over at Rifter to give him that, telling nod and telling glance of, yeah, I see what you did there, and nods in his direction.
He's still looking, into space in front of him, and after a second, he opens his mouth, and through a crack, I had children.
Darius, you don't have to recount that.
Help me, Hate. Do you know how it feels to take a bite out of your youngest daughter's heart?
Not personally, no.
Oh, damn it.
Darius.
Do you know
I
how it
want you-
feels to paint their blood on your face? To hear the screams of their siblings?
Darius, I was not going to ask you to recount your traumas.
I don't care anymore, Hate.
Darius. You...
I told you. This is not something you can just equivocate to orc birth. This is not something you can equivocate to human birth. This is different. And you will never understand. And I will not try and make you understand. But do not try and convince me otherwise. And he turns around. Any of you. he just shuts up immediately and just walks out into the main hall.
Lorik sighs, shakes his head, and after a good 15 seconds or so, follows.
Rifter looks at Hate and Schönhoff, and he kind of casually just says, "Can I be honest with you?"
Go ahead.
Have no objections.
Politics aside, you know, all the debating, morality, philosophy, and what is right, what is wrong. I'm gonna be honest. None of that really matters to me. I mean, sure, I do agree, collateral damage is a bad thing. And we have no idea what that kind of thing would have done in the crossfire of accomplishing its mission. I do agree with that. But at the end of the day, I think I just believe this for selfish reasons. I will not lose another loved one on a hopeless, maniacal genocide.
The history of so many orc clans ends in a very simple way. The cycle of vengeance finally broke when everyone else rose up and took down the dangerous monsters, down to the last man, woman, and child.
I recognize that. But honestly, I don't know if I care. I just don't want to lose my friend.
It's all just tiresome.
Aye.
They
No.
never really talk about what happens to the heroes in those stories. Most of them, a lot of them in recent history tended to either not to make it out themselves. Not from the fighting, of course. When you're down to only killing non-combatants, you tend to survive that, but their soul is gone. I understand the selfish argument as well.
He nods. And Rifter, at this point, he just says, "I appreciate you listening. Now, if you'll excuse me." And he, this is the first time you probably notice as he takes his hood off, he is incredibly tired. And he just, like, walks off to go to sleep somewhere. Well, he would, if they are awake and up, then yes. If not, Rifter's just gonna find like a quiet corner somewhere and just like lay down back against the wall and just like nap. And before he does, he actually does, and he looks to his maybe sort of mom, kinda, and just points to her, and he just mentions, "With me, if she does."
You know, I think it's fortuitous that you learned the spell that you learned. You can use it on her when you're awake.
He nods and he goes to sleep.
So I assume around this point, Lorik has gotten back out into the main hall.
Sure, let's play some of that for a bit.
What?
There we go.
Lorik's trying to actually find some decent words for this. I don't agree with them. I know that you are right, based on everything I've seen, everything I've known. You are right.
And what does that change? How does that fix anything? If that's all you've come to tell me, then you can leave. I need time for myself.
It doesn't fix anything. I'm just telling you, I am still here to offer whatever assistance I can render up.
He turns around and looks at Lorik. I appreciate it. I really do. I don't want you to misunderstand. I do appreciate it. But Lorik, I need some time to myself.
I know. I was intending to head out into the city later today. Would you like me to bring anything back for you?
No, I appreciate it.
Alright. I will have to confer with the others briefly, but I will be out and about very shortly, and you won't have to worry about me.
He nods.
Lorik heads back in to ask Hate what kind of materials would be necessary for a legend lore spell.
You successfully go in and ask. Hey,
Hello?
hello?
Hate is dead.
Kate
Second?
seems to be AFK.
Oh, sorry. I'm here. I just forgot to unmute. I tell him the right answer, but I need to look that up myself because I don't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know what divinations Darius will ask of you. We still have yet to discuss the specifics of the agreement. But at the very least, can you agree to provide him the divinations?
I have absolutely no problem with that.
Thank you.
It's, for the record, it's 25 gold of incense and 25 golds of ivory strips. That's already converted into proper Hectorum money.
It's a bit more than I can afford at the moment, unfortunately. I was hoping to ask you to perform a pair of those spells, actually, regarding two separate beings, I should say.
I understand.
This
I
isn't
figured
related
that.
to Darius's concerns, by the way. This is something entirely separate that's been gnawing at me for a while now.
Okay. Will probably be able to. Actually, I'm curious about that. How much do you think the metal portion of this will go for? And at this point, Hate's just holding the tiara in her hand, being careful of the, spots that hurt.
I have no idea. I am not a goldsmith, nor am I a merchant.
Well, I feel as though I can probably exchange all of the actual precious gems to get the materials I need for atonement. So whatever is left over from the value of this, you can have towards these spells.
And I have 10 gold on me at the moment to help pay for one casting of it.
Although, to be very fair, I also can't really sell this, which is why I've been trying to figure out what else to do with it. And I will probably have to write an IOU to some very angry extraplanar entities for the value of this anyway, just to keep the spirit of the agreement.
Right. I suppose I should actually tell you what divinations I intend to ask you to make. That spell that told you about the Scion. I was hoping that you would be able to cast it once regarding Highborn Merrivax, and another time regarding, and Lorik says this in air quotes, the Highborn.
Interesting. Well, you'll have to give me every bit of information that you know about them.
Of course.
But about both topics, of course. I understand
Right.
what you're trying to do.
I'm
Alright.
trying to confirm or deny the allegations back on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And I figure powerful divination magics are probably the best way to get that question answered.
Well, it's a way to get that answered. My magic probably isn't the best way to do most things, to be fair.
Just as long as you don't go conjuring another celestial.
It does appear that every time they appear, it was a mistake. I will not be making it a third time.
Good. As long as we're in agreement on that, I see no further reason to bring that topic up.
You see, like, this small attempt at positivity bubbling up from hate, and she says, although it will be kind of difficult to find a stronger spell to replace that with. We'll have to discuss the nuances between what it is that I can ask them to do. Maybe come to a consensus.
I found success with transmuting them into different forms so that they don't have access to any of their divine powers.
The problem with that one is She kind of stops and she thinks for a second. That might be useful. Although, they probably wouldn't answer for that specific call for me too often. I'll have to consider. There's precious few things at that level of power that I'm familiar with. The benefits of adventuring, you grow quickly.
That's one way to put it.
You face constant life or death struggles, and the fate of the world seems to always be on your shoulders. So you either die or you progress. That was in an... She raised her hand to make air quotes. Beginner's Guide to Adventuring text that my father owned.
You know, that's probably one of the strangest things I've heard about you, that your family actually had a beginner's guide to adventuring.
My church father. I do call him my father, but there were more books than I thought were useful in our library. And then I grew up and I've read most of them.
Well, at the moment, with my somewhat meager supplies of gold, what supplies for the spell do you think would be the easiest for me to acquire?
Ivory's readily apparent. The incense needs to be of a certain quality. You can get the ivory in strips.
Wait. Yes. We have to contact Executor Perilyn, let him know that we completed the mission.
You have to do that. I have a church to go visit.
Aye. I think I'm going to have to make a visit to the Mages Guild. Considering that Darius is no longer able to cast that spell.
What do you think are the odds that they have some spare diamonds hanging around? And
In the Mages Guild or in the church?
either or, honestly.
I'm not entirely sure. I haven't ever dealt with diamonds much.
I always thought that they were a very strange gemstone to be given such high value. It was only until I realized the divine significance of them that I understood.
Aye. Well, I intend to go to the Mages Guild and hopefully get a scroll to cast that spell. Wish me luck.
I hope you have all of the luck that you can handle.
Sure enough, could I potentially borrow maybe 5 gold to aid in acquiring that scroll? I don't know how much it's going to cost, and I will give you back whatever's left.
Out of character, is the scroll sending or
No.
box?
It was gonna be the box, probably.
Okay.
Unless sending is much, much cheaper.
Sending is fairly cheap.
Okay. Lork is probably gonna, look at the prices for each scroll and then decide from there. Because with box, you would get to send Perilyn all the info immediately.
Hmm.
And some of the material, like the fungus blood and the helmet.
I mean, sending, like, if you don't mind the breach in communication, just there exist senders in most Mages Guild. If
Okay.
yeah, they won't necessarily
Yeah, that would
know
make
the
sense.
target most of the time, but chances are for someone such as Perilyn, if someone there would.
It just, the only downside is I have to craft a message to be 25 words or less.
Correct. But it is significantly cheaper at about 5 silver.
Okay, yeah. I will actually probably go for that rather than getting a scroll. Let me just compose the message quick.
The rest of the party exists. Rifter is sleeping Shunov. How do you take a lot of this morning's activities?
He is still groggy and is kind of just taking it all in still.
Alright. Darius, what are your activities like while you are out and abounding? Darius? Oh god, Chad's dead and
Yeah, no,
muted.
sorry. I was talking, so I had to be muted. Just real quick, Evan, you got compliments on your performance of
Aw,
You got
thank you.
Actually, why should I say that?
I love it. It's so clever. It's very creative. It took me a hot minute to figure out that it was all the same person. But as
Ooh.
who can't do voices, mad respect to all of your voices, your character voices. But switching back and forth, like in mid-sentence to complete a phrase or a thought, mad skills, massive props. It makes me laugh every time. Not in like a mean way, but in like
I get what you're saying.
It's even
I
more
really
based.
appreciate that. Thank you.
It's even more based when you realize that like a third of what he's saying is stuff that other people have said in the campaign.
Yeah, like it's hard enough to come up with things to say that sound reasonable and not like bullshit. But to do it in different voices every time is wild to me. Truly wild.
I really appreciate you saying that because I gotta admit it is the hardest part about playing this character because this is a campaign where we constantly debate philosophy and politics, and I picked a character who is the hardest I've ever played to like just talk. Kind of kneecap myself.
You do not make it sound hard. It's honest to God so impressive.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That means a lot, like unironically.
Awesome.
I'm gonna cry.
Cry about it.
You Okay. The message that Lork is giving to the sender has been written down.
Understood. Would you like me to send the response to you?
Yeah, DM's probably.
Darius.
And that was 5-4, right?
What's
Yes,
poppin'?
it
What do
is.
you need?
Where have you departed to?
He's just taking some time to himself in the front of the shop, and if he does anything, he is just doing a walk around the block.
Okay. Nothing drastic.
He's not going anywhere, he is just taking time to himself. So, fat mood.
Mood? What is Sloric doing at this point, though?
Ooh, real
That is
question.
the real question. Oh yeah, JC's obsessed with slimes.
Hold up, Chad. Why did you say that so like downplayed?
Conspiratorially?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was trying to not activate my microphone while I spoke to the person next to me, but
No, this is that special guest episode where you just have like if we were all playing with a camera, they would also be there. So like
just there.
I am just here. I'm just eating ice cream next to him. Like I'm not. I'm
Where
just
are you, bro?
listening.
Eating ice cream and watching people play D&D couldn't be me.
I want you guys to
That
know.
is literally you when you watch Roll20, though.
You mean Critical Role, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Wow,
And
fan.
no, ready?
No.
Ready? It's because you filled it in for me that I know that it's you.
Ooh, big brain. Message
Man,
has been
it's-
responded.
It's so nice to be able to get into character with somebody who's in a horribly downtrodden mood just by chugging some very disgusting beer. In a very healthy and safe manner, Twitch.
Mm-hmm. TOS, TOS,
In
TOS, TOS.
In Roblox.
In Roblox.
Yeah, Darius is just going to commit mass genocide in Roblox.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In
No.
Fortnite.
So, while Darius is walking around the block, the early morning buzz as... Hold on, actually, what day is it? Let me check the date.
Should be the 29th, I think.
Yeah.
Unless I'm completely tiny brain. Which I have been known to be.
He has been known to be.
Same, honestly.
It is the 28th.
Completely independent.
Oh, fuck. I am stupid.
Nah, nobody's stupid except me, bitch. So yeah, it is
You
a
don't get to be
fine
stupid,
carrot
bitch.
Wait,
midweek day.
hold on. Just because it's cool and we're not in a character thing right now, JC, can you explain the calendar system that you worked really hard to create?
Sure. So, the full natural, like, geological year is 257 days long, and so societally, they end up breaking it up into 5 50-day months, and then a special 7-day holiday where each of the 7 divine are worshipped and celebrated on their own special day. Each of those 50 days in a month are broken up into one of 5 days that essentially follows our 7-day work week of 4 days of general, like, work effort, and then 1 day of rest and church going. Although, given the fact that the days are a little bit longer than our days, you kind of end up getting more time off because most people don't normally work more than about 10 hours in a day in their like 30-hour or so days. Additionally, because of all of the math that just happens to work out, each year ends up having about the same amount of hours as our years, so which was actually unintentional and really good.
Insanity. Just insanity. The level of world building and RP here is astronomical and something I can only hope to achieve. Y'all are wild. Y'all are truly wild.
I appreciate your commendations.
It's
JC's world is
100%
like
my fault.
here.
Pardon?
Darius
your
was
world
complimenting
is-
you, and I was stealing all of the credit.
God
Oh,
damn it!
jeez.
Stop interrupting me. Let me suck his dick. Oh my god.
See? Two halves of the same coin.
Somebody say coconut? What?
Oh, as Darius is
Sorry, I'm
kind
back.
of walking around on this morning Carrick day. Man, why did I make those sound so similar? Anyway,
Because
on
you're
this,
dumb and stupid and you make a bad roll.
whatever you say, poo-poo head. On this mid-Carrick day, the slight bustle as people begin moving out of their homes and heading out to their work for the day kind of begin to fill the street, and there's a little bit of uneasiness given the aptitude of the city for misadventures, but you stay close enough to the areas where you know yourself to be safe that there's nothing more than a little bit of buzzing in the back of your brain while you contemplate the more important matters at hand. You find yourself almost too quickly back at the entrance of your store as if it had only been a minute.
Well, he mumbles to himself a little bit and returns back into the.
Is it enough to assume that Shunoff and Haight would have exited the back rooms, or would you guys just be chilling there?
Oh, I was planning on also leaving to go to the church.
Oh, right. Oops. It's Shunoff. I guess that just leaves you.
Yeah, I will leave with them unless I'm trapped in the back rooms and need to roll a d20 to escape.
Would you like to roll me a d20 to escape?
Yeah, I got you.
All fucking dies.
Uh-oh.
You are in a mental prison of your own making. While your
Yeah.
body may accompany hate, your mind is... It is growing senile. Your degree of both schizophrenia, narcolepsy, and, of course, Alzheimer's is growing more severe by the minute. Darius, you have returned to the store. It is unlocked. It will soon be open as Jake and Duluth are beginning to prep everything for the day's open.
Darius is going to enter, and without a word, JC, you're echoing a little bit.
Oh, jeez, not again.
And without a word, he's just going to fall into routine and start helping them prep for the day.
Fantastic. Hate. It is yours and Shunoff's.
I am going to. Is the door closed currently?
It is not. It is slightly ajar, as both doors that hold that front face of the cathedral are ajar, probably sitting at about like a 90-degree angle to each other and about a 45-degree angle to each of their walls.
Perfect. So yeah, I just opened the door and I strode on in with the confidence of a person who just deposited near unconscious, maybe dead bodies into this building.
So what info did you leave?
I believe we we were planning on leaving the names of each of the people that we left, that they can contact us at the shop. Was that the plan, Lork?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess I would also just have, explain to us was specifically, hey, and Lork.
I see. Name dropping in here. As you
Alright.
enter, you see as a great deal of processions have already been underway, as groups of a few different races, although obviously given the location in the Empire, none of them particularly monstrous of your statures, but they begin walking their way down in between in between the walls of this cathedral, with their incense swaying as they do, uttering chants that you would be all too familiar with. After a few moments, one who is off in the side rooms comes up and approaches you. They are a slightly younger woman, probably in their 30s, who looks at you and says, "Ah, hello." And she gives a slight bow.
I go out of my way to return a, highly respectful greeting to her.
She imitates in turn. "Ah, how may I help you, sister?"
Yesterday, this morning you may have noticed that there were additional people in some of your beds. I just came to check on them.
I cannot say I have, but please, I do not care. I do not. Read it, read it.
I do not care.
I do not care! Ah, no. That is not in my purview, but if you would like, we may go and check up on them.
I smile, I nod, and I continue on to the room where I initially deposited random souls here.
You step in and you see many of the same people you had seen earlier this morning, but none of them the ones you brought in.
Ooh. Is there anyone working here?
There are a few people moving out and about, tending to the, sickness that is moving through them. The signs of the necrosis plague ever present.
Perfect. Alright, so I will try to get the attention of one of the workers so I can quickly ask them where the three that were erroneously placed here happen to be moved.
A middle-aged man ends up being caught by your attention seeking and moves over and I'm terribly sorry, what?
There's a moment of hate starting to gears turning of a potential problem that might become that she might be discovering. I had brought some additional patients to the church late in the night. We didn't know where else to turn, and we brought them here. Specifically to this room.
Would you like to sit down for a moment, miss?
I don't have anything better to do. Yes, that would be great.
And once you sit down, he kinda moves his hand over to your skull and you begin to see him starting to cast some kind of spell.
Alright, so how generally trustworthy is this faith?
I mean, you've had enough experience in the campaign to understand that the seven are the big seven, right?
Yeah, which means that they are about as trustworthy as the primary faith is ever trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. You got it. You get the themes.
You know, you make a wonderful point. I'm gonna put my hand on Greg and see if I can make a save.
Oh. You're just holding on to Greg?
Yeah,
He's
yeah. Sorry, he's making a spell. Does it look like he's going to actually physically have to touch me for it? Because if it does,
yes.
I will shift slightly and ask for him. I would greatly prefer that you ask permission before casting spells.
Full stop? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I figured that you seemed somewhat out of it, and I was hoping perhaps you might be better, someone of your... And it is supposed to be that jittery. He's kind of struggling to say his words.
Mm-hmm. Hate smiles and raises a hand in like a "you don't have to continue" kind of gesture, and interrupts him by saying, "Yesterday, a companion and I brought 3 unconscious bodies here because we didn't want to leave them out in the streets, and we had no place to bring them to other than the church. I happen to have a detailed history with wayward souls being brought to churches, so that's why we brought them here. If you did not see the 3 bodies when you arrived, this is a completely different problem than me being somewhat out of it because of the events of the prior night."
Well, I can assure you that this morning... When did you say?
About what time would it have been that we came over here? Because
4 past midnight.
she'll give that
It was
time.
late.
Yeah, real late.
What? Was that supposed to be sarcastic?
No. 4 past midnight is my bedtime. So, But yeah, she'll say, "We brought them in about 4 past midnight. I'm sure you can understand that yesterday was eventful."
Yes, it was, but I must offer you my concerns, for only 2 hours later there was no one here. Are you sure that your memory is... And he puts up his hand. I'm sorry.
I understand. And if I was in your position, she kind of stops and says, "When I was in your position, I didn't believe the people talking to me either. If you are certain that they weren't here just 2 hours later, then I won't continue to bother you with this right now. For all intents and purposes, I may have been mistaken."
He was on board with it until the last statement. He says, "Excuse me?"
"I'm letting you not have to worry about this because I don't want you or the rest of the clergy here getting involved if something is going amiss. So I'm respectfully asking for you to consider me as having misremembered where I brought them."
I see. And then he moves in to begin casting the spell.
She's going to scooch away again. She's being respectful because
He's doing it
clergy.
very slowly this time.
What this time?
Slowly.
Oh. Do I identify? Can I identify the spell he's casting and still have
Yes, you
time
can.
to react to it?
As we have established after the first Philip fight, well, I guess it is the only Philip fight, huh? No, it's the second Philip fight. The second Philip fight, you can use your reaction to attempt to identify a spell.
Cool, I'll do that.
And
I just
in the
don't
same
remember.
action, you can counterspell it, but, you know. You can't be like, I want to identify this spell and that spell and that spell. You have to be like, am I
Yeah, I
going
know.
to... Yeah, that's the point. So give me your religion.
Click. Click.
Twice.
Nope.
Nope.
that was right on a 17. All right, this is. If he's casting it slowly enough where I can just, not be right next to him whenever he needs to actually reach over, I'll just stand and make to depart.
Let's say we did then.
Let's
Best
say
of
what?
luck. He says, let's say we did then. Best of luck to your remembrance. And he's very confused and kind of side-eyeing you as he gets back to his work.
She is going to, move just slightly out of the door frame, and I just need to quickly check to make sure of certain things.
As you step out of the door frame, the woman who had been escorting you to the room is waiting outside and just looks over. Has everything gone well?
What's your name, miss?
She just looks at you a little bit, like, head tilted. Excuse me?
I No, don't worry about it. I just wanted to see. I was curious about something as all. It went about as well as I expected in with the way that things have been going recently. You might see me again, but if so, I hope it's not because I need healing, she says with a smile.
I hope so as well.
And Hate's going to slowly make her way, back out, but she's clearly she's clearly casing the joint at this point. Like she's looking to see is anything amiss as she's moving out.
At this point, go. What's your passive? It's like 22?
Passive is fantastic. It's phenomenal. It's 20. It's 20
20,
exactly.
okay. The biggest thing is just as you're walking out, you notice that you're getting quite a lot of stares from the other members as they continue making their rounds around. Like, they end up, double taking as they look at you as you're present.
Yeah, that's fine. So, Hate's
So, yeah,
her
nothing
secondary
abnormal.
objective of nothing abnormal. Hate's secondary objective of potentially finding out if there's some diamonds here, completely on the back burner. She's heading straight to the Mages Guild.
Understood. As you...
And she's gonna walk in a path where if Lorik has already left, she'd intersect.
Understood. As you end up stepping just outside the church, you hear as the door is closed a little bit tighter than would be normal.
Yes, that's
Shunhoff is
expected.
waiting on the stairs outside.
Shunhoff, do you want to go play detective for 3 missing bodies? People? Hopefully people.
Oh dear.
I mean, really, that's the only response you can really have, I think.
I'm planning on going straight to Lorik, but if you have any ideas. And she's saying this as she's just leaving, because she's not even taking... she's just power walking at this point. Power walking downstairs.
Making my way downtown.
Should we go back to the house we were at last night? See if anything is out of place?
That is a wonderful idea, and we should probably do that as immediately upon informing the rest of our group. I have a feeling that time is probably important, but I also don't want to be making more unilateral decisions in this moment in time.
I guess that's for the best.
JC suddenly realizing that based on the the events of today, we are coming back and sieging the church.
Mm-hmm. So it would seem.
Yes.
To the Mages Guild, then?
That's what it seems like, yes.
Alright. You make your way through. There's quite a significant line just outside, of which you see Lork relatively near the front.
I will... You know, I probably wouldn't interrupt him sending his message, because that is still kind of a higher priority than this.
I mean, he is simply in line to get into the guild.
Oh, this is
Oh,
before
shit.
he... This is before he even sends the message. Cool. Alright, yeah. Alright, cool. I will walk up to him and I will say, Lorik, pressing information shouldn't change your activities for right now. They've gone missing. We're going to wait until you're available and we're going to try and investigate.
Lork looks up, startled from actually writing his message, and he has to do a double take and asks, "What? How did they go missing?"
I don't know. The person on... The person who was attending to the people in that room thought that I was crazy, which generally I understand. That is how I appear to most.
You begin to hear
others.
a tap, 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 tap.
Okay, fine.
I
Yes,
have to get going.
Lord,
Sorry.
just finish this. We'll talk after.
We'll meet back up at the storefront.
All right.
So I assume by this point, Lork has pretty much finished writing down his message to actually just give the paper to the person sending. I'm casting the sending.
Mm-hmm. They take a quick look at it. The Parolin?
Yes.
Alright. And they put it in a little tube. It goes straight up. Just a moment. And they kind of gesture you to the side, where there are a few people waiting on a row of seats. They do not look very comfortable, but it is better that there are seats than that there are not.
Lork will choose to remain standing, given the events of the day so far.
More people come up and they begin handing their letters. So, H. Schunhoff, you've experienced the horrors of the direct mages, Vimuncular. Let's go with that.
Oh, since it seems like Lork's probably going to have some time, I'm going to head to the gift shop and see if they sell really expensive diamonds.
The gift shop.
The
Is that
gift
not
shop.
what they call their component store?
No, the gift shop is specific. It's on trademark. It's only the one in Tarnospem.
Yeah, the Tornos Pem Palace gift shop. Yeah, Lork's been there.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, he
Totally.
just calls all of them gift shops because, you know...
It's getting synonymous at this point. It's like
Yeah.
Kleenex. TOS.
All right, so, do they happen to have really expensive diamonds?
Yes. This is the second biggest mages guild, like, in the Empire. Yes, they do. Is it of
Sweet.
good value? Not really, no.
Ooh. Do I happen... Hey, would know this. Is the value of the diamond based on the value of the diamond itself, or based off of the amount of currency expended to receive the diamond? Because
You are smart enough to know that answer, Hayden.
I think
Two
it's pretty
people
vague.
have 2 specks of diamond dust. Hey, I'll buy that diamond dust for 300 gold. Wow, here you go. Here's 300 gold. Thanks.
Hey. The
That
magic
sounds
of
like coercion.
sincere trade is completely different from the magic of
Nice
attempting to get around trade.
Nice scope.
To completely derail that slightly, there is a game with a god of commerce where he explicitly has that clause.
That's actually pretty sick, actually. 25% markup, just to cut to the chase.
Yeah, fair
Huge.
enough. Fair enough. That's a lot. We'll deal with that later. Uh, it's nice to know they're here. You know, Hate's not actively looking like she's trying to case the joint because, you know, why would you steal from the Mages Guild? They'll curse you.
Most items are at only like a 10 or 5% increase over their expected costs. Some of them are even a little bit lower in those that are of significant sizing. Among those, your ivory strips that you would be looking for if you were are only about 10% more than would be expected.
Oh, hey, look at that. They're nice to diviners. Let me guess. Is there like a reduction in the markup if you are an official member of the Mages Guild?
You would not know that.
Oh, Hate's saying this out loud.
Oh,
I know that.
Sorry, I didn't say that in the Hate voice, but yeah, she was saying that out loud.
Would I know that?
oh yeah, you would, and you would know that it's true.
Wait a minute. Struenhoff is a member of the Mages Guild back in all Hectorum. Is membership to the Mages Guild across the entire continent?
Do I know that?
It has not been discussed.
Quick, Struenhoff, flash your membership card.
I don't think we have those.
What do you mean we don't have membership cards?
Oh,
that
you're
guy
right.
in the
Lorik
alleyway
is,
gave me.
I was about to say, why is Lorik saying we? And then I remember, no, right, he is part of it. Yeah. Speaking of, how's your
Magic
thesis
coming
going
from
for
within.
this month?
Shit.
Don't you love it?
At some point, I need to remember for Rifter to forge a membership card.
Even if there isn't actually membership
Mhm.
cards, Rifter's just going to make one.
Just makes one and shows up like, guys, it's okay.
I mean, hey, somebody's gonna fall for it.
Yeah.
It only needs to get you into one Mages Guild at discounted prices, and it pays for itself, really.
Well, Struenhoff?
What? Like, what are you waiting on me for?
Hate just asked you a question, didn't she?
I might have remembered it if we didn't talk about.
Yeah, I know.
2 minutes
Honestly,
of
true.
forging membership cards.
Yeah,
To be fair, that is a pretty hot topic.
it is a pretty hot topic. She asked if your membership is valid here.
I mean, I would assume so. All the Mages Guilds are interlinked through teleportation circles, anyways. So
Okay, well, in that case, could you ask how much this would cost?
sure, and I just hold out my hand and in waiting for the diamond.
So
Is it-
it's
is
kind
it-
of a think a little bit like a grocery store where normally like it just has like default prices listed.
Oh my god, I hate it's modern day grocery stores
Mhm.
instead of a grocer. I hate this.
Mhm.
Piggly Wiggly was the worst invention ever.
Honestly, kind of true. Thanks,
Arcane
Ted.
grocery.
So, if the price is listed, do I know how much of a discount I get by default?
You would know that at least in like in our Hectorum, the prices you get are almost exactly like the actual value of them, or the price listed if it's better. Like, it's not a discount as much as it is a no markup.
In that case, I will find the nearest employee / receptionist and ask what the price is for members of the Mages Guild.
She relays that information. And then asks if you remember.
No, I don't, because I don't keep track of prices like this.
It's Ray's dead, right?
Yeah, raise that 50 gold. I believe. in Hectorum dollars.
Yep, 50 gold.
And now $20.
I mean, it's a valid clarify. Is it 5 gold or is it
I know for
500?
50 in Hectorum dollars.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a valid clear.
Well, I know for sure I don't have 50 gold on me.
Oh, don't worry, that's not the problem. I was just making sure that they're present and that we could get a reasonable price for them. I plan on attempting barter.
By all means, then.
Not now. Lorik wanted to wait to use the tiara as proof for our mission status, and then after that, we will figure out about how to offload it and bring back a few people.
If we can even find them, that is.
That's true. Are you willing to take a very short detour to see if we can discover if there was a mass grave or something else?
Might as well while we have time.
Alright.
You begin making your way back to the base of the building. And as you do so, among other things, you hear a crier yelling in the one of the floors about the upcoming events of the city. In particular, and this is just a totally smooth segue that no one could have possibly seen coming of a way for me to tell the players a little bit of shit to get on track, is that in 2 days, Philip Volstrom is holding his event party in the central square announcing his retirement. He's one of the ones that catches your ear as you move by.
Wonder how they'll make that happen.
Do you ever wonder if it's a curse to know too much about the machinations of the world?
I don't wonder about it, I just acknowledge that it is a curse and move on.
Fair.
So it's probably been about 25 minutes since you went up to the gift shop, TM. You come back down and you see Lorik waiting, hands in face.
Wait, why hands and face?
Because it's been 25 minutes.
Ah, fair. I don't suppose you lot have had any better luck than I have.
Not really.
The components are here, but that was to be expected. Just wanted to clarify. Did you hear about the party?
Yes, it was in this month's newspaper. Did you forget?
I'm going to acknowledge that you may not have noticed, but I don't read the newspaper. It's one
Fair
of the
point.
few sources of news that I try to stay away from. The editorializing is... Huh.
It
You
may not be
hear-
written for
fake news.
You hear over a thaumaturgy hate. Catagon!
Oh. So that's how they're like, speaking out to people.
Hey, I may have a compromise for the tiara.
No?
You may be able to sell it to the Mages Guild as a research item, while giving a stipulation
Sada.
that when agents of Clan Delmer have come to investigate it, they will share their findings. How does that sound? They'll be more effective at determining the exact properties than we would be anyway, and that should give Perlin more information should he meet us.
That sounds like a doable... I'm mostly just making sure.
Loverick.
Lork takes a moment to realize that was actually his name, but horribly butchered. I suppose I have my response. One moment. And Lork heads up to get his response.
They hand you a small writ of paper.
We can go now and discuss the details back at the shop.
Hey, and she looks at you. Be quick, it
Yep.
doesn't last forever.
The paper.
Next, as it like kind of booms past you, not even waiting for your response.
Lork is going to quickly copy the contents of the paper onto his own paper.
Sounds good.
The amount of paper that we are losing today.
Yeah. And then once he copies the paper, he is going to march in time with Hate and turn off, presumably, back to the shop.
Mm-hmm. Just as a out of character thing, since I want to tell you now rather than later, after a day it begins to disintegrate.
Oh, okay.
You want to know why?
Because it's conjuration wizard stuff?
Mm-hmm. Because it's the spell creation using vegetable matter.
Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, we have Perelin's response. Let's get going.
This is shaping up to be an eventful day, and likely to be. Far too many more going forward.
In any case, regarding your remark about the newspaper, it is heavily editorialized, but it's useful to determine what narrative they want to put out there.
I understand. That's why I listen when you bring it up.
Fair enough.
This is mostly just I find the few moments of downtime where I would have been reading it is better served clarifying my requests to various gods, reading over my notes of the various religious texts. I would do it myself. I just don't think it's the best use of time, personally.
Understandable enough. Lork's going to open the door to the shop. Alright, we've returned with information and with our response from Executor Perilin. And also a potential compromise regarding the magic item recovered last night. That should actually be more beneficial in the long run.
Darius?
You may be muted, Chad.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was, again. Can you repeat?
I mean, I didn't say anything aside from your name. Would you mind making me 2 rolls of persuasion and a performance?
Sure. Things that I should be good at. Here's to hoping Darius luck doesn't curse me.
Darius luck, Darius luck, Darius luck moment.
Darius luck,
I'm gonna
Darius
get a
luck.
1 and a 20.
Performance and
Persuasion.
Alright, pretty good. You have
Wow,
made
half,
That's
right?
not that bad.
not too shabby. You have made off, considering how early in the morning and how much of an off day it is, you've been making quite the good progress today. You've had 8 gold of sales so far, of which you may divide between you and the shop as you so choose.
Darius is going to put it all into reinvestment for potential future purchases, make everything better in the shop.
Superb as always.
He's not pocketing anything. And he's also remembering that he's got like a lot of gold and he's going to give 60 of it. Let me just clarify how much I have. Yes, 60 of it back to them with So a total of 68. And in an ability just to reinvest for more purchases, for more profit.
That's truly the greatest betrayal of our time.
I want you to know that when this man said a number higher than 50, while we're sitting here struggling to scrounge together.
Yeah, Cope, cry about it.
Cope, merchant moment. He starts to
You're not the
move
one
back
making
to the back to
Listen,
begin
I
documenting it.
invest 68 gold. I get out 80 gold. I invest 80 gold. I get out 120. Like, come on.
Money! Jake
Sounds like
begins to
booze.
move to the back room to put some marking down of it, and he says, before turning around, how should I credit this?
I mean, you can credit it in the same way that somebody paying late would. It's just a debt
Debt.
for
Got it.
future for past purchases, because it quite literally is what it is.
He kind of nods his head side to side for a moment. I always have a way with words, and moves back.
He sort of looks up. I don't think you have a way with words when that just is what it is.
Yes, but there's very few that can actually put it into those words.
Yeah, I think the only part that you guys hear is you certainly have a way with words. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Theirs is just that classic meme of like the question marks around him, like the confused face. What I'm talking about. The
Big mood.
Yeah.
It is nearing noon. Rifter, you may have had a long rest. You will not likely be awake yet, but you might be in a bit.
All right. So, Darius, is Vermilion awake yet?
I've been up front for most of the day. I can't tell you whether or not he is. He hasn't come out.
All right.
That's what I can tell you.
Well, we were able to acquire the response from Executor Perilyn, and we may actually have a suitable course of action with the magic item we uncovered yesterday.
Wonderful. What seems to be the progress you've made?
Well, let me read Perilyn's response out quick.
I was
Well-
trying to avoid that first.
Alright. Well, Hate needs money for the resurrections and for the divinations I intend to request from her. We were going to pawn the tiara off to the Mages Guild as a research item under the pretext that if any agents of Clan Delmarev come calling, they would immediately divulge any and all information related to the item.
Wait,
They can...
but you would make far more money separating the gem, selling the silver from the reef, and then using the gem in an independent way. Because a magical item like that has the potential resale for reapplication.
Right. But we need the item intact for the sake of research, and for the sake of if Perilyn comes here and wants to know what the item is.
Yes, but the power comes from the gem. Just because you sell it to there's a reason to upmarket it, even as a research item. The power comes from the gem.
I see where
But
you're coming from.
while it's stuck within a singular item, you cannot abuse the value of its flexibility.
So, in that case, can I trust you to separate the gems so that we can then bring those to the Mages Guild?
I know how to make money. I don't do the thing.
So then, do you know where we would go to actually get the gems separated?
The closest thing I could say is you know who in Hectorum, but we're not close. Jake, do you know anyone that could handle something of that caliber of
He's in the
finesse?
back room, but you can wait a minute.
Yeah, he will wait a minute, but Jake might know, he says to Lore.
Wait. Hate, that spell that you have that let you turn the skull into that hammer. Do you think it would work on the metal of the tiara?
It's specifically for stone.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. I'm also just generally not that good with the more... Well, generally not that good with the more crafty spells, but this was a moment of inspiration. She points at Greg when she says that.
Quite a good one at that, he says, smiling as if this morning had never happened.
Maybe
You know,
a source of sufficient... Apologies.
Oh, I was just going to remind Darius that he technically owes me showing me around to a place where I can get a drink stronger than danger soup.
I wonder, could any magics that we have in our employ heat the silver to the point where it then melts without harming the gems? Considering that the gems are in fact magical items, and thus resistant to that sort of manipulation, let's say.
They're also, I mean, heat is rather dangerous for that kind of thing. We don't necessarily know how it might react to heat. I would just say minor magical interference with the connections to the gem itself, with just a little bit of external force from like a forcep might. Because the gem seems to be rather sturdy. I don't necessarily know much about the processes totally myself, but if we wait for Jake to come back from the back rooms, he might have more information.
Right.
He might even be able to do it. I don't necessarily know if he could, but he might know someone who could. He's more magically inclined than I ever have been.
And that's saying something.
It really isn't.
I would be inclined to say that you're not giving yourself enough credit, but I will reserve judgment. And aside from the potential usage of the tiara, both as a way to get Hate the money for the spells, and as a means of getting the information so that we can get the money and the information at the same time, we have Perelin's response. Would you like me to read it out here, or should we wait for Vermilion? It's not a terribly long response.
I also neglected to mention that the three people that we escorted to the church have gone missing. That's also an issue we're going to have to deal with.
Right. I almost forgot about that.
Schernhoff had the honestly quite good idea of going back to check the room we got them from initially.
Is that place even still standing at this point?
No clue, but I was willing to accompany him there. I just wanted to make sure to bring this all up with the group and discuss it first.
Understandable. That should be a good use of your time. In that case, once Jake gets back, I will take care of the tiara. Darius, I assume that you're going to maintain the store during this time? You might be muted.
You know that guy who sings the songs like "Did you check up your butthole" and stuff?
Tom Cardy, yes.
Yeah, that
Pardon,
guy.
what did I just? What
I
did I
feel
just
like
start singing?
I feel like we should do a song in that kind of style, like "You might be muted." You keep talking it out, and it was really good, but nobody heard it, so it's really sad now, because you're muted.
True.
You might
Big
think
mood.
it's great, but we really hate how
Okay.
nobody heard a damn thing you said, because you're muted.
Okay. So Chad, did you have a response to what Lork said?
Repeat.
Lork said that he was gonna take care of the tiara once Jake got back. Hayden and Strunoff were gonna go to the place to check up on if the 3 missing people had actually gone there somehow. And he assumed that you were keeping up the store in the meantime.
Yep, thumbs ups.
Alright, then if there's no objections, I will read out the response from the executor. Any objections?
Lork, just speak,
Understandable.
please.
Alright. Understood. Mission time extended to purview. Culprits found and detained. Compensation by right to be discussed at a future time. I take that to mean that he's referring to the culprits of the assassination attempt. It wasn't exactly the clearest.
It's incredibly vague, as he always is, and, as usual, unhelpful.
Yes, but at least for now, it seems that we don't have the auspicia breathing down our necks.
Well, at least we don't think we do.
Do you think that's just a folly of all of those in power with extra information to just always divulge them in such cryptic messages?
Well, Hate, do you remember what happened the last time you cast that divination magic?
You know what's going to happen the next 2 times I cast that divination magic?
Yes, but presumably this will have at least some use like that one casting of it did.
But yes, I know that the powers that be tend to... Well, for some pantheons, part of the issue is that it's built into their code of conduct, as it will. She catches herself starting to go off on like a actual lecture about the origins of all of the weird cryptic messaging that the gods give, and stops and says, yeah, it just seems like a lot of them are being assholes.
Thank you for catching yourself. That didn't go completely unnoticed.
It's not really the time for
You can tell
a
you don't
lecture.
mess with this when you're not doing anything with the keyboard, right?
I don't.
Cute.
Oh,
You
okay.
might not be muted.
Because you thought you were, and then you weren't, and it was really embarrassing for everyone.
They
That's not
probably
how it
spoke to me.
runs.
And
Mood?
Oopsie! He noticed! Oopsie! Continue.
I'm going to start making preparations to head back and examine that room. And I'll let you all know as soon as I find anything. Or as soon as either of us find anything. I'll try not to make any solo decisions.
Hey, perhaps it might be best if, after I take care of the tiara, if I went to the church, they might respond better to someone in a recognized position of authority than someone who is, quote-unquote, just another cleric.
That is a wonderful idea. You should do that. Don't let them touch you with any fancy magics.
Of course not.
They always think that it's for your own good, but they don't seem to realize that it's so disconcerting. Holy shit, we got the patented 3 Lord grunts in a row. Alright, so Hate's gonna head off and start making her preparations, and with
All
that,
right, let's be on with it. Is Jake heading back up front at this point, Wesley?
Yeah, we can have that.
Just the man I was hoping to inquire something about.
Excuse me, Duluth.
Would you happen to have the knowledge of how to separate the gems in this item? Lork presumably holds up the tiara. I assume that Hate likely handed it to him.
And Darius adds an addendum as he walks up. And if not, someone who might.
Of course.
I will in fact be leaving the tiara in Lork's capable hands. He has full right to give it to Darius now if he would like.
That would be kind of pointless at this point, no?
Yes, I'm just saying that Hate actually gave him full authority with the tiara for the moment.
There was a good halfling named... Oh God, what was it? Zeneric, I think it was? Yeah, Zeneric. He had some good jewelry work he did. He didn't get enough business for it, though. Last I heard, he had been going in to try to get a little bit of trading done, but I haven't heard that it was too successful for him.
We could potentially use leverage there, correct? He does jewelry work, but his main problem was he couldn't advertise it enough, right? Or was it quality in his work?
As far as I understood, he was quite good at it. Just not much of a demand, so he's moved on to trying to do some trading. I've heard he's... Well, not much of it, but I've heard that he's going through and trying to get a little bit of work done on the docks.
Well, I believe with good exposure, a good jeweler should rake in hundreds of gold. So I think, Lorik, I'll come with you and we'll speak. We'll speak with him a little bit. And
beyond that,
Jake, just very quickly, do I have permission to extend the use of our front as a extension of sail?
of course. And he gives a
And
little bit of a
secondary,
smile.
Do we have the budget for it?
Yes.
All right, beautiful. I figure if it makes us both some money, why not?
We need to push some more, so it would be great.
All right, Lork, let's head down.
Hi. I assume that you know the way to the docks, because I
Aye.
really don't.
You do. We saw them on our way in. It's this way.
All right then. Lead the way.
Yay, we get to change the scene after like an hour. Woo!
Finally.
Freedom.
All right, so
Hold on
Ready to
a
go
hot
find this person.
second. Alright, I need to move that where it should be. There we go. Camera is in the right place now. We're good to go. Why are there twos? What the frick?
no idea.
Because when Sternhoff was down here, somebody rolled a 2, and somebody else dragged the 2s from the roll onto the plane. So there are 2s now.
How do you do that?
I have no idea.
So, like if you see Sternhoff's roll, if you click on it and then drag it, I drag the 7.
Oh, it has to be like an actual roll, not a proficiency
Yeah.
roll.
Yep, just like a straight up D20.
Neat.
Yeah.
Alright. Those of you who have arrived will have
Before
arrived.
we do anything else, can I get in the chat the name, because my audio quality isn't great. I just want in the chat the name that you said, or that Jake said, so that I don't missay and misremember and shit.
Ta-da!
All right. So, Lorik, I'd say first thing. What time is it about?
It's a little bit afternoon, so it's probably pushing 2.
Would it be around most people's lunch break?
No.
Okay.
Said he was doing some work at the docks. We should check along the docks, see if any of the overseers for the work there know about any Zenoric.
All right then.
After that, we can check the tavern, because if he's not there, then
Likely. That's
Likely at the tavern, yes.
but I don't think it would be break time. Not yet, anyways.
There's a great deal of movement. His product is being moved from ship to ship and from ship to dock and dock to ship.
Darius is gonna hold on the edge and see if there's anyone over managing writing down things as they see them pass.
Yes, there's a quartermaster up here.
Okay. Darius sort of as he approaches hails like a wave.
At the moment, he is busy and absorbed and does not notice you until you get to about there where you are close enough, and he goes, I assume you're looking at him while you're waving or whatever?
Yes.
He just looks at you with a bit of a cocked eyebrow.
Hello. Yes, I'm searching for someone. I've heard that they've been working at the docks, and
Yeah.
I'm looking for a Zenoric, I believe.
God damn it. He just sighs under his breath, moves over to the ship. Z, get out here. I have to ask. And he's specifically looking at Lorik.
Just for his previous trade. If he's at work right now, we don't necessarily need him, but
For
now it would just be.
Can he finish his statement? Just before
Sure.
that? Okay.
Of course.
He's-
Yes. Sorry. I thought that you stopped, and I. Sorry.
My bad if I did. He looks at Lorik and says, "You're not here. He didn't perform any activities, did he?"
No, not at all. Not as far as I'm aware, at least. This is purely a matter of business.
Good, because we don't want to hire anybody who is.
Of
Oh.
course.
After a little bit, a halfling ends up coming down. Nice, sir. Well, get to it. And he just kind of moves past while gesturing towards the group of you.
Hello. You are Zenoric, I assume?
Yeah, that's me.
I have some
Hey!
matter to discuss with you.
Yeah.
And Darius, without breaking line of sight, as he
Yeah.
sees them approaching from the side, because he's felt the flow of traffic at the docks before. He just parts at before they even reach him.
That sounds reasonable to me.
I have some matters to discuss with you of potential business. I understand that before this work, and he sort of gestures around, you were a jeweler, and quite a good one at that.
He kind of grabs his elbow with his other hand and he goes, "Thank you."
Perhaps we could, if you are busy right now, after you finish your shift, discuss in the tavern.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Of course.
I await your arrival.
Can I ask what it is? Because
It's
he
it's
stops.
It's two potential things, both of which I think you'll find rather interesting.
All
The
right.
first, the first of which is a rather delicate and, quite frankly, I will just say amazing piece of jewelry that I need you to look at and see if you can't tinker with a little bit.
Well, I'm honored, but I don't. Are you sure that? I mean, okay. I'll see you in a few hours then.
Of course, you were recommended to me by someone I trust wholeheartedly, which means that I trust you wholeheartedly with this task. I will see you.
May I ask your name in case I don't see you there?
Here, and he points to Lorik. This is Lorik. He will be where I am.
Hi.
All right,
Sorry,
then.
my voice is
Ask for
breaking
him
a
and you
bit.
will find me.
All right, Lorik. I shall see you when we're done. But I gotta. Thank you.
Aye, of course. I look forward to doing business with you.
He runs over, grabs some rope, and runs back up to the ship.
Well, I don't suppose you would like to get a bite to eat at the tavern then while we wait?
Oh, we might as well.
Question: is Shunov actively here, or is he just visually here to look around?
I can be accompanying them if need be.
Alright. Rifter, at this point you are waking up.
Rad.
Would you like to play some of that for a moment?
I'm sorry.
Would you like to play out some of that for a moment?
Oh yeah, sure. Rifter just goes ahead and as he wakes up, he dreamt of his mom, he dreamt of his friends, and of a lot of very intense things. So when he wakes up, he's just kind of like, not like a panted breathing, but more so just like high intensity. As he wakes up, so is this considered long rested at this point, or
It
no?
is.
Okay, cool. So yeah, he just kind of gets up. He feels much better. He puts on his hood. He reverts potentially back to Vermilion unless his mom's awake.
There is no one else within the room, barring your mother.
Okay, in that case, I stay as me. I check on her to see if she's breathing, if she's alive, what's going on with her.
She is still breathing, she still has her heartbeat, and she is still unconscious.
Okay, at this point, Rifter just says, fuck it. We're going to artificially expedite the process. And he's going to go ahead and give her one of his healing potions, his standard healing potion. Actually, before just like dumping the whole thing in, he's actually going to go ahead and like dump a little bit into it to see if it has any effect.
She doesn't even like manage to swallow it without a great deal of effort on your part.
Okay. Can I tell if there's anything medically wrong with her?
From what you have heard, there's not. And you can
Okay.
investigate yourself if you would like to, anyway. If you do not trust Jake.
Yeah, I'll just trust him. Well, without any knowledge, Rifter just wakes up and he looks around and he sees if any of his friends are nearby.
There's no one within this room. Peeking out into the main doors, you see that the only people who are present are... What did Hate end up actually doing in character? Lorik, do you know?
Yeah, she ended up going to the house with where the people used to be.
Right, okay. So yeah, Hate is not there, so you take a peek outside, and there are only Jake and Duluth. You have been left on your own.
Well, in that case, Rifter's just gonna AFK at spawn because he doesn't know what to do until his friends return.
That is a very Rifter thing to do, not go asking for help. I agree. At the docks you are. The two of you, potentially three of you, are about to enter the bar.
Darius then with Lork in tow as his quote unquote ID. Lork is his fake.
Lork, what's your passive?
Passive perception. Let me check. 11.
11. All right, that's an 11.
Yeah, I'm definitely not as perceptive as Hate.
That is all.
Understandable. Yeah, Lork offers the presumably bouncer, guard, whatever, a nod as he enters.
Just a reminder to you, because you've been seeing it all over the city, and
Oh,
also
right, Parka.
obviously, yeah. Parka Damrev.
Yep.
After just a few moments, the tiefling comes up and asks how she can help.
Well, what were you thinking of getting?
Darius just looks over. What was freshly imported today? I saw new ship arrivals. Were any particular meats?
It's fantastic. That we do. We have a little bit of a boar from the far northeastern part of the Savage Kingdoms, which we managed to get a little bit of a poaching on. Beyond that, we have a little bit of seal dragon meat from just south of Sorrow. Either of those pick your fancy?
I'll have the boar for now.
Fantastic.
Just a small portion.
Yeah,
I guess I'll have some of the boar as well.
fantastic. She writes down on a very small snippet of paper sitting it on the desk, which has 8 silver as a written down component on it.
Lork is completely prepared to part with the gold, as tragic as that may be.
Fairly.
Darius is just shrugging. You really expect you're going to be allowed to pay? That's cute.
Well, that would be rather generous of you. Thank you.
I'm here on a venture. I'm more than willing to pay for a meal that you have.
Well, you have my thanks. Is there anything else that we can actually get done aside from just waiting for the guy, considering that Hate's gone?
Not unless you can think of something.
Then I assume we fast forward, unless there's something you want to do in particular, Lorik. We just fast forward waiting
Yeah, I can't really
and
think of anything.
eating.
Alright.
Nice casual lunch. Waiting for
Casual lunch. It tastes nice in the drink while not junky. Being complimentary, it at least tastes not bad. Until
Well, now
eventually he
being
makes
able
his way in and kind of timidly grabs the table. He doesn't grab the table. He grabs the chair and kind of gestures as if to pull himself a seat.
Of
course.
course. Go right ahead.
Darius looks him up and down and sort of nods a little bit. A tradesman of your craft should carry yourself such. Sit down.
And just moves forward and sits down with confidence, be it foe or otherwise.
So,
Alright, the item we were hoping to have you work on was this tiara. Lork produces it and sets it on the table.
And Darius immediately shoots his hand out in front of it. Lork, before you put it in front of him, please preface that touching the crystal.
I was literally about to mention that. Be wary of
Yes.
the rubies. They are magical.
Okay, that is incredibly vague. He's going to turn to him. if you touch this, it will sap a large portion of your strength. It will hurt. This is why we need a delicate hand for removing this from.
With this, he's a little bit, even for him, he's kind of being a little bit slow about it, as he's very carefully trying to choose his words.
In the absolute worst case scenario, both Darius and I are skilled with healing magics and can help you recover if anything goes wrong.
May I ask who your trusted contact was?
My business partner, and I trust him with what he tells me pretty frequently, more than I trust what I find out myself. It's almost like he can see the future or something. I really...
You're a Delmarv, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I just, in character, by the way. How did you get this?
We were doing work for the Delmarevs. This is explicitly for the increase in research. It's, to turn a phrase, to benefit both them and us. If it's separated from the crown, we can study the properties of the gem itself better, and we can also turn it for a better profit, as I understand. You will understand as a businessman yourself.
Would you mind going ahead and clicking on your diplomat feat and then a deception check?
Sure. If my sheet will load, it's gonna take a second, I guess.
Wah, wah.
There we go. It's good. And... deception.
Okay, just want to make sure there wasn't anything on it. He, after a little bit of confirming with Lorik and, like, a little bit of a discussion about how, like, you're able to prove that, yes, you are a censor and that it is your purview to, you know, investigate things, which you do in a very bland and very generic way in the simple sentence or so. The two of you managed to convince him. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no worries. I wasn't actually going to say anything.
And then...
Also, sorry for taking away your agency there. I realized
Oh, no,
that was
that's
shit.
pretty much exactly what Lorik was going to do. He was
Okay,
going to
best.
very matter-of-factly be like, yes, can't you see the emblems?
Then Darius, and if I may, the second matter, if this is settled. Was there any particular reason why your trade didn't quite work out? Because I have a proposition. And he's waiting for a response.
He takes a deep breath. He looks over at Lorik. Do I have any, I don't know, God, I can't believe I'm gonna... Oh, do I have any protections by helping you at all?
You'll have to be more specific. Because I don't know
Alright,
what kind of protections I can
God.
offer if I don't know what you need.
I was
protection
bullied
for.
out of it.
Then in that case, Darius will actually be able to offer you the protections you need. That was what we were going to discuss.
Oh, yes. That's actually quite convenient. See, I was thinking of inviting you to, if not work at the shop, then work for our general line. It would be a good way to expose your work to the world, and a good way to bring us both some money.
Not economically.
And he as if he was interrupted midway through. Like, I understand, like, you didn't. We are all under the purview, currently, of the Delmarevs. Should someone try to bully us out of business, it would not go unnoticed.
Okay. Okay. Alright. Do you have any of the supplies there that I can do? Because I had to sell them off to try to get a little bit of an entrance here, but if we're getting back into it, I'm gonna need the right tools.
I myself do not currently have them, but we do have the budget to get those for you.
Alright, and when do you need it by then?
I don't want you to rush. I want you to take the time you need for this.
Okay.
You can get it back to us when you feel that you can get it back to us.
And I guess the last question is, do I need to sell my apartment?
Well, it depends. Which do you want to do? We could potentially have the space to set up another.
Alright,
bet
okay,
with
sorry,
some stock.
I'm uptight. Okay, this is just a
It's
lot.
entirely up.
Alright, better question. Where is it?
He gives general directions from here as to where it is.
Alright, not far at all. That's great. Can we go there now? Can I find
Sure.
that one? Okay. In the group of you go, you meet up, things go well on a first meetup. Everything seems to be going well. He says that he'll be there tomorrow morning and buy some of his supplies that he needs with the assistance that you provide. And things go well that it shall be being constructed soon. For Rifter, you hear as the conversation begins to fade out and the other person leaves, you hear as they give their fair tidings to them in a little bit of a yell as they walk off, enough for you to be able to hear Darius's voice from the other room.
In that case, Rifter basically goes psst, psst, like however he needs to get their attention, whether or not it's going to be throwing something or just going psst at them.
I like the idea that Rifter throws a book at Darius. Darius. Actually, Rifter, give me an attack roll.
Oh no. Okay. Here, give me a second. Do I have proficiency with book?
I would say it's
Also,
an improvised weapon.
In that case, okay. Oh, whoops. Here we'll just say dagger. Okay, I miss.
You throw it, and Darius, you feel a little clank as the back of your leg gets bonked with a book.
He turns around.
It would appear that Vermilion wants to get our attention for some reason.
Oh, I know why. And he excuses himself from the interactions with the first impressions and heads into the back room.
Lork follows suit.
Backroom time.
We're in the back room, Zono.
Rifter basically is just like, she's not waking up.
Let me think.
Seems like this is what he's holding over you then.
I wonder. This may not work, but it's certainly worth a try. Grifter, do you mind if I cast a minor protective magic on her to attempt to dispel what's going on?
Try it.
Lork is not sure if it'll work, but he's going to cast protection from evil and good on her.
Alright. You feel around and you manifest your energies. It embodies into her. The spell has taken effect. You feel as it confirms. The feedback. The feedback exists and the concentration is established.
Rifter looks at Lorik after some time, like to see if he has anything to say or any input.
This appears to be beyond the purview of this specific spell, but if you give me time, which we will need anyway, I can attempt other magics to see if that will help.
Take all the time you need. Eventually, I think we're gonna have to move. I don't think it's safe to stay here for too long.
We do have
hate to agree.
He also adds in, besides, we have other plans, I think, that are more important.
Speaking of, I intend to go to the church.
He gives you a puzzled look.
Hate informed me that our 3 friends went missing last night.
Rifter's eyes widen, and he just like slams his hand on a table or something, like whatever, any flat surface or a wall. And he just goes, "Damn it!"
I'm hoping that by invoking my station and Miss Highstone's name,
Hey,
I should be able to get
you're finally
information.
awake. You got caught in the old Fortnite rift.
Darius, you're getting pretty base boosted right now.
Wait, really? Sorry, I don't know why.
It was just
And
for
I
like
also
that
thought I
sentence
was-
and the one before it.
Sorry,
No
I thought I
worries.
was. My bad.
You get. Yeah, good joke. Continue, please.
But yeah, Rifter just expresses frustration that like, and in a bit of a paranoid way, just shouts, "It was him!"
It likely was, but I may be able to find out more at the church than Hate was able to. After all, as far as I'm aware, she didn't say that she gave them any specifics, but if she did, I imagine they will respond better to someone with guaranteed authority.
I'm telling you, mates, this fucking tears it. We have to do something about him. There can be nowhere for him to hide.
I know. We need more information, though. We don't. He is currently many steps ahead of us, and we can't afford to make a hasty move. If he is. If your mother is involved, then this is likely a plot that's been brewing for a long, long time. I don't know what his plans are, which is why we have to be cautious. This is a foe that none of us have dealt with before.
Rifter, in a rare showing of tact and nuance involving the topic of his mom, also chimes in. Well, I know you mean no offense. This is not my mother. This, I don't know what is, but ain't related to me. Can't be her.
If I may be so bold as to ask, what makes you so certain?
I don't think she would want to return. And after all, no anything, no marks, no signs, no indication of wound. Not to mention, what? They grabbed the body after, 12 plus years? Nah, this is a recreation, a mockery, a copy.
Like, might I say, what they did with Philip.
So something to do with the pods then?
Rifter shrugs. I don't very well know. But I do know that I feel a sense of responsibility. She is only here because of me, because of who I am.
Alright then. What do you intend to do?
Safeguard her. Same way we did with the other blokes, but I don't know if it's safe for her to be, out and about. Her resemblance to me could cause issues.
We could always bring her back to our home. Say we found her in our next venture into the dungeon. If anyone
That was
asks.
what I thought exactly.
Rifter gives you a look of like a smile, but there's like pain behind his eyes. And he just says, I want to do that, but to be honest, I need her away from me. I can't have her near me. It's too much.
I understand.
But I won't just condemn her, no matter how I might feel.
We could use the same excuse. We might keep her within our house for a day, and after our next venture into the dungeon, we come out, we approach the Mages Guild with her, and we say we found her, and see if they can take care of her. That way you do not need to see her, but she still maintains care.
You're a kind and noble friend. But, on a more pressing matter, if we're going to play this all smart and well-paced, no rash actions, then I think it is only appropriate that we make our goal to obtain power. Not that it wasn't already, but with the specific goal of taking him out. We have to bring him down. This needs to end soon. I have a feeling that his waning entertainment of us is soon to run out.
Darius sort of puffs himself up. Maybe for you, simpleton. But in all seriousness,
We also don't know who
I agree.
all he's involved with. If what you've told me is correct about Chibalo, then he's likely involved in that too. We don't know where else he's involved.
You're right, but the devil we know is the devil we ought to kill.
I agree entirely. But we don't know what allies he can call on.
and I bet odds are, right now, he's listening to us and he's laughing.
Quite possibly.
It's entirely
kind of you-
possible.
And just in case he actually is, Darius, just how kind of you to listen in to our quaint conversation. Oh, gracious air. You're not afraid yet, but you will learn to be.
If nothing else, I need to see him die by the end of this.
You will, or we will all die trying as well. And this is extremely speculative, but from what I know of Perlin, he is a very rational individual. If presented with information that details that the Crown Prince is colluding with the Savage Kingdoms and attempting to bring about ruin to the Empire, we may be able to make him an ally. We just need more information.
Accusing his own son would be.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Hi. Perlin may have his faults, but he does seem to care about the Empire. So,
Yes, but the son of the Emperor is such
a monumental task of proving.
Aye, which is why we need to gather as much evidence as we can.
I just worry that Perelin's dedication will blind him.
From what I understand, Perelin is dedicated to the Empire, not to any specific individual, except maybe the Highborn.
Dedication to the Empire and dedication to the Emperor are functionally inseparable at this point. You can tell with how the Dummerebs are right now.
It may very well have a point.
It may be worth a try, though. In the
I
absolute
just-
worst case scenario, we end up having to face Perelin head on, like we would have to anyway if we made an enemy of him.
I just don't think we need to make a rush of it.
Of course, of course.
He looks over at his mom. If he's capable of this, if he can do this, I don't know what else he would be capable of, given time. I understand your worries, and I get it. You know, rushing headfirst into combat is not always the most practical way of dealing with your problems. But, and he just points to his mom, this is fucking insane.
All the more reason we should move. We shouldn't move now. If he can do this, who knows what he's capable of? We will not gain anything by running in and dying.
Darius is exactly correct.
We
don't
have.
know.
I will tell you, we have shown incredible growth. You have shown incredible growth. You are more than 10 times as strong as you were when I first met you, Rifter. This dungeon is doing something for us physically, mentally, magically. We should use that to our advantage. I say,
As have our other trials.
since we have nothing else, we should re-enter the dungeon. It seems to be the most efficient way for us to develop our skills. Time is not on our side, but it also is.
Rifter strokes his feathers, his little feather beard. He thinks, he ponders, and he just says, I don't know if I agree, but I'm willing to trust you, boss.
It's
No.
just a simple compromise of time versus efficiency.
Now, what of, Highstone? The missing one.
That's what I was intending to go to the church for.
While it is
A-
concerning, I don't know if it's necessarily our business at this point.
It's still an investigation that would not take much of my time at all. In the absolute worst case scenario, one of you two could come with me to ensure safety.
Do what you must. I have a little bit of work to do with introducing a new person into my business, and we won't be here for long, so I have to get this work done while I can.
And
with that, I'm going to dip out for the session.
And you don't need to.
Oh, okay.
I propose that while we're still here in Korheim waiting for the work to be done on the tiara, we also attend the announcement in 2 days regarding you-know-who's retirement. We may learn something of value there, assuming that they actually got a working something there. And during that time, we can also catalog our total findings from the secret lab, compile that with the findings from the Chibalo lab. I will be relying on both of you to provide information. and with that, present the evidence of some continent-spanning conspiracy to Perilyn, and propose heading into the dungeon to gather more information.
Do what you must. I'm going to stay here.
All right.
And with that, we will be calling it there. Thank you, everyone
Alright.
who showed up, both for the stream, since we got up to 6 people watching this time, and for anybody who comes through and ends up watching in post. Thank you all. I hope everybody has a wonderful day.
Bye bye.
Absolutely.
Goodbye.